Hey everybody, I'm back. So they're having a live press conference here in a few minutes on the Kada Scott disappearance. I did a little live on her yesterday or a couple of days ago, but they are going to have a press conference right now and update on her disappearance. So let's listen in. Also, don't forget to like, share, get this out there so other people can watch it.
Yeah,
like, share, and comment, okay?
So if you want to stand anywhere you want, we're kind of behind the pillar there. If you want to stand on this side, they're going to get this stuff electronically anyway. You know what I mean?
Of course it's not.
Is it bouncing off of me or stuff?
You look good.
Okay. So I just had the right one. Of course. Of course. Because why would it, right? I do try really hard. Oh, I keep pressing the wrong one. Good thing it was already done, so that way we bypass all this. All right, let's listen in and see what they have to say, right?
Everybody ready? Where's Rep Carol? Oh, there you are. Why don't you come up here? Straight spots. How about that? Is everybody ready? Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. We have called this press availability in order to address any questions the media may have or anything else that we can do to support the ongoing investigation of the kidnapping of Kada Scott, the efforts to safely locate her, the efforts to further this investigation in this particular case. I just want to start by saying October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Our prosecutors, victim advocates, and law enforcement staff are deeply concerned about every victim and survivor of crime, and those who are victims of domestic violence are extremely important to us. And we will be giving a few more details about the investigation and prosecution of defendant Keon King. Most of the details of the case you already know. You're aware of them. But I want to make sure that we are keeping the public updated, and I want to make sure that people understand that the FBI, the Philadelphia Police Department, the DA's office, other law enforcement partners are working 24/7 on this case, are doing everything we can with the remarkable, unusual, extraordinary support and help coming from the public to address the situation we all face. I think part of what is really, perhaps what has animated so much community help, such an unprecedented effort that we are seeing by the community to get us information, to get the police information, anonymous tips, tips about cars, tips about evidence locations, things of that sort. We even have some information that additional victims of this defendant from incidents that never resulted in an arrest are starting to come forward. I think part of what is happening here, and it's good news, is that young people are seeing themselves in Kada. Older people see their kids, and they would like to know that everyone is doing everything they can, no matter how perfectly or imperfectly, but they're doing everything they can to try to deal with this horrific situation. I am here to say to the public that I am fully committed to there being justice in this case, to every single thing that can be done for Kada being done now. I'm not alone in that. I can tell you that the mayor has gone to somewhat extraordinary and very impressive lengths to try to address the needs of this family, to make sure that this investigation goes as smoothly as possible. Police Commissioner, I know, feels the same way. He and I have been on the phone a couple times speaking directly about certain aspects of this case over the past several days. I can't tell you exactly what that was about because, as I said, the investigation is ongoing, but it was about stuff that mattered. It was about stuff that was important. And we were very much of the same mind about how to address that issue. If there's anything that I hope to gain by this press conference, it is frankly part of what was gained by the last one, the one that was done by PPD middle of last week. And that is to get more help. It is to have more people come forward. It is to get more information. We have reason to believe that will happen because it's already happened. We have reason to believe that will happen because of the deep interest people have in Kada Scott and the deep interest they have in her safety and getting justice for what has occurred here. For anyone who has additional information, please reach out to the Philadelphia Police Department at 215-686-TIPS, 215-686-TIPS, or please contact us at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, 215-686-8000. I'd like to acknowledge now some of the good people who are here. We have with us State Representative Andre Carroll of the 201st Legislative District. Representative Carroll has been deeply interested in criminal justice, including criminal justice for young people for many years, has worked closely with our office at times, and as it happens, knew Kada Scott in ways that he can certainly explain. Representative Carroll will be speaking. We have first ADA Robert Listenby here. We have ADA Ashley Tezlowski, who is in the DAO's Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit and is taking the lead on a lot of the efforts right now with the assistance of others in this office. ADA Bob Wainwright, who is the chief of the DAO's Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit, is here. ADA Bill Fritzy, chief of the DAO's Gun Violence Task Force, which also is responsible for some of the most important technological forensics that we do. And they will continue to be very important in this investigation, is here. We have Mariel Dela Cruz, Director of DAO's Victim Services Unit, Donna Wood, director of the DAO's relocation unit here. I do want to take a moment here to thank Ashley for her deep dive into this case. This is not something she had early on. This is something that came to her desk more recently. But I can tell you, she ain't sleeping. She's on the phone with me all the time, at every hour, as she should be, because there's not an hour that should pass without additional effort on this case. She has consistently shown her professionalism, her integrity in dealing with this case. And I am delighted that she will be taking point on this for the whole team from this office. All right. I do want to talk about a couple things that I don't think have been heavily covered or considered about this case yet. Or if they haven't, maybe they haven't been fully reported. But I want to share this with you because it may be of help to you in the media. First of all, I want you to understand that when this case began, it was when this case began, well, let me rephrase that. There's been some discussion about a prior case involving defendant Keon King, involving a different victim, a case that ended at the preliminary hearing. And there has been discussion about some of the events that occurred there. There is no doubt that there's a list of people in this office, outside of this office, and no, it doesn't matter who they are, but there's a list of people who made a lot of good decisions and a couple decisions that could have been made better, that could have been better, right? There's certainly that has been discussed. But we also can't skip over some of the systemic issues here that are not small. This is a case in which, in the prior matter, we requested $1 million bail, $1 million minus $1 bail, and we did not get it. We don't set bail, judges do. The bail was set at $200,000. Why? Well, probably because the commissioner who set the bail probably imagined that was enough to hold Keon King in custody. It wasn't. Keon King had access to a lot of money. And so he paid $20,000 bail almost immediately and was out of custody as a consequence of that, right? This is the problem with cash bail. This is what we've been talking about for a long time. It's not just whether or not he's in custody immediately. It's also what is the situation of a victim who has to go to court, a victim of domestic violence who has to go to court, knowing that the defendant will walk out the same door she came in. What is the situation? How likely is that victim to come to court if that victim knows that that victim is dealing with a profoundly dangerous, profoundly violent person? And we all know the answer. That victim is more likely to walk in the door of the courthouse and testify if that victim knows that the defendant can't walk out right behind her if he's locked up. Well, he wasn't locked up here. And so sadly what happened was there were two court dates, at the first of which the judge announced that it must be tried next time. And the victim did not arrive on both of those occasions. An eyewitness did not arrive on both of those occasions. I don't say that to say that's the whole story, but it's not, but it is part of the story. And it is a part of the story that would be remedied if we got away from this, frankly, nutty notion that bail is a good way to deal with these situations. Someone profoundly dangerous should be held. I don't care if they've got a lot of money. Someone who's not dangerous at all shouldn't be held. I don't care if they're poor. That should have nothing to do with this. Money should be divorced from determining who stays in custody, as has been done in the District of Columbia and many other states. It is a successful system. You know, without pointing a finger at any individual, I am pointing a finger at the cash bail system because its role in this is frankly very problematic. I also want you to know that there has been, and there continues to be, extensive victim support and outreach to the victim in the first case. That's just a fact. And we will continue to do that. Some of it I cannot even speak about because it would be inappropriate for me to talk about some of the measures that this office has engaged in for her protection. And not yesterday, a long time ago, okay? I don't want anyone to believe would be improper for me to talk about, but perhaps we can talk about it when this case is concluded or at a later time. We can't necessarily do that. Finally, I just want to say this.
Okay, well then, what was making this woman? Did they let the guy out of prison or out of jail like the next day? And this, maybe he was out threatening her. Maybe she should have been protected more. Maybe she would have showed up for the court case. Man, we need to have better protection for our victims, our children. Man, this is crazy.
Before we hear from Representative Carroll and then move to Q&A, we are encouraging, we are asking other victims of this defendant, Keon King, the gentleman to your left, my right, we are encouraging you to come forward. We have information to indicate that there may have been other victims. We are asking you to come forward, contact our office, contact the Philadelphia Police Department. Some portion of this has already happened after the last press conference. We are asking you to protect others by coming forward. And we are telling you that all the resources of this city will be at your disposal to make sure that you are safe in this situation. Keon King is in jail now. He's in jail on, what is it, $2.5 million bail? A sum of money he's not able to come up with, despite the fact that he has access to money. You do not have to worry about his coming out of the courthouse door right behind you, because he's not coming out of that courthouse door right behind you. And if I have my way, he's not going to be coming out of a prison door either. That's how serious this gets. So I'm asking you, please come forward. All Philadelphians, please come forward. Let us know any information you have, whether it's information about a car, whether it's information about a phone, whether it's information about a piece of evidence, information about another victim, something that you saw in social media. Even if you don't know that it's accurate or true, but you know you heard it or saw it, we're asking you to come forward. It is my pleasure at this time, before we get to question and answer format, it's my pleasure to call Representative Andre Carroll, who I know has some interesting and important remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, I want to thank the DA's office. I want to thank the FBI. I thank the homicide detectives who's assisted with this case so far. I also want to censor my remarks and concerns, thoughts, and prayers for the family. I recognize that we're talking about a 23-year-old young Black woman. I've had opportunity as a criminal justice advocate prior to being elected to State House to work with young folks who have been tried in this city. And I've had opportunity also to get to meet the victims' families. And walking in the courtrooms, there's a divide of both. But what I recognize is that, you know, I've had an opportunity to build relationships across this aisle. And I recognize in this moment that there is a family right now that is praying for the safe return of this young lady. I've worked with colleagues in the House, in particular Gina Curry, who introduced legislation around the Ebony Alert. Far too often in this country, when it comes to young Black girls and women, we do not see this kind of outpour. In this case right now, we recognize that everyone in this city, from the community to law enforcement to elected officials, are committed to the return of Kada Scott. I want to thank you, Philadelphia, for everything that you've done so far at this point on behalf of the family. But I also want to continue to encourage you guys, if you see something, if you know something, say something. The DA's office, our judicial system, the criminal justice system, they can only do what they have access to as far as information. Hope cannot be relinquished yet. We can get Kada home. I have had opportunity to meet Kada over the summer when Kada was running for Miss Philadelphia. Very timid, beautiful young lady. I am a loss for words as to how do we get to this point. It's not too late, guys. This family I've had the opportunity to talk to, they want their daughter, their sister, their cousin, their neighbor home. I'll close with this. Miss Kada Scott ran to be Miss Philadelphia. We're counting on Philadelphia in this moment right now, and I hope return her back home to her family. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rep. Carroll. One final comment before we go to Q&A. The sad truth is that the story of Kada is not just about Kada. It's about a lot of other women. It's about a lot of other women who don't report what has happened to them out of fear or because of the unique dynamics of domestic violence or for some other reason. It's about a lot of other women who do report, and then for a wide variety of reasons, including fear, but not just fear, don't go to court. Please report. Please come to court. Please let us try to do our very best with your case to protect you. Please. You are not just protecting yourself from things that can get a whole lot worse than you imagine, but you are protecting every other woman in Philadelphia. And you're doing it at a time when, sadly, the national climate is not fair to women. So I am saying to every woman out there, every girl out there, every other person who may have been a victim of domestic violence of any sort, please let the Philadelphia Police Department, the FBI, the Philadelphia DA's office, please let all of us, and the mayor, please let all of us support you by coming forward. We will do justice. We will make sure that the accountability fits the act, and we will make sure, as best we possibly can, that there is the right outcome. All right. With that, we will move to Q&A. Channel 3 CBS,
So
Joe Holt.
where's the update?
Thanks. So if bail in the January incident, when it came before the courts in April, was not sufficient, your office could have moved for bail modification, correct?
You have the option of trying to do what is often a midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning telephonic appeal to a municipal court judge. The unfortunate reality of this is that some, but not all of these judges don't want you calling them in the middle of the night. And if you do, they lower the bail. They don't raise it. They don't leave it. They lower it. So it is always a complex strategic decision.
Why is that? Why would they lower the bail? Because of a phone call?
Because they don't want to be awakened in the middle of the night, because they don't want appeals. Now, there are a lot of great MC judges, a lot of great CP judges as well. These appeals go to municipal court judges. So I don't want you to think in any way I'm saying that's what all of them do. But we know that it's done, and we know that it's done way too often. And therefore, you have to make strategic decisions about who that judge is, what hour of the day it is, whether there's any realistic possibility of increasing the bail. And we are still locked into a cash bail system in which some things that were done in 1978 seem to make sense to some of those judges now. So it's always a delicate balance, because the last thing you want, who knows exactly how much money Keon King has when he first gets arrested. The last thing you want to do is to appeal it and then drive the bail number down so he's able to get out when you were asking for 5 times what it ultimately turned out to be.
What's the access to cash? Can you elaborate on how you finance?
That is an aspect of this investigation that I cannot really get into right now, but I can tell you there is reason to think that he had access to cash. I'm going to go in order, and if I miss you, please remind me, okay? All right, let me see. Becca Hendrickson, 6ABC.
Yeah, Mr. Krasner, what does bail have to do with your office's decision to not prosecute anyway then and drop this case?
So the actual history of this case, as I understand it, and, please understand, we've been trying to dig into this to make sure we are accurate. If anything I say turns out to be inaccurate, we're going to correct it, okay? But my understanding of what happened with this case is that it involved an eyewitness, It involved a complainant. There was some other video evidence that was available. And at the first listing, eyewitness was subpoenaed. The complainant was subpoenaed. At the second listing, once again, there were subpoenas. We believe that at least 3 of those 4 subpoenas, all of which went to the addresses that were identified, we believe at least 3 of those 4 got to their destination. There were multiple phone calls that were made, phone calls to the victim in those earlier cases. And they were not just made by one person. It was made not only by the prosecutors handling the case on both dates, but also made by people in victim services. Those calls resulted in voicemails being left that were detailed. They were not returned at that time. The eyewitness did return a phone call. The eyewitness expressed that she was reluctant to come to court. I think that's a fair statement. Efforts were made to get the eyewitness to encourage the complainant to come to court. And ultimately, what occurred is the eyewitness did not show up for the first listing, neither did the complainant. The eyewitness did not show up for the second listing after a judge had marked it must be tried, neither did the complainant. We could have done better in that a really sophisticated approach to the case would have been to try to put it all on with video evidence. That is not usually an easy thing to do. I would say with 20/20 hindsight, it's something that could have been done. And I own that. I mean, ultimately, the buck stops here. It's not my job to throw other people under the bus. If there's a decision that is poor, and I believe that that was an incorrect decision, then we have to own it. And we have to try to do better moving forward in order to change that. But what I am saying about the bail is that it could have made all the difference in the world at the first listing for that eyewitness. If this man was locked up, she might have showed. It could have made all the difference in the world at the first listing if this man was locked up. The complainant might have showed, and the same is true for both of them at the second listing. Think about it. This is obviously someone who at this point we understand. But the eyewitness and the defendant knew him, okay? We know what he's capable of now. They knew at some level what he was capable of then. And the reason they had to worry that he was going to come out of the same door they went in the courthouse right after they testified against him is because he was on bail. So there is a direct link between the effect of bail and the appearance of witnesses. And that's the point I'm trying to make.
Is there a number of times that someone has to be subpoenaed and they don't reply before that decision is made to drop the case? I'm just trying to understand.
So what actually happened in this case, and I appreciate you trying to understand, so if I can be of help, that's what I want to do. What actually happened is a judge of the municipal court at the first listing marks it must be tried, okay? That is an order, and it's an order that applies to the next judge that says you must try this case on this date. If you're not ready, if you don't put it up, it gets thrown out. That's what that order means. Under Pennsylvania law, if a judge at the same level, and it was a municipal court judge at the first listing, it was a municipal court judge at the second listing. If a judge at the same level makes that decision, under the law, it's not even supposed to be up to the second judge, unless there's some big change of situation. This judge is supposed to follow that judge. So from the moment that the first judge said this must be tried next time, for whatever reason, and I'm not going to speculate, I don't know why the judge said that, that was essentially a predetermined outcome if the case was not put up. The process of dismissal, withdrawal, whatever, is effectively the same thing. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to revive a case later if you drop the case rather than having a judge dismiss it, just for procedural reasons. But that's essentially how that worked. All right, let me see. Is it Shaira Arias? Shaira, my apologies.
Thank you for having me, Professor. 2 questions. And this is related to Kada Scott's investigation. And this is because a lot of people have been asking. The charges have been filed for kidnapping. What new details can you give us about what exactly happened on October 4th besides the fact that they were possibly last seen together, that folks could maybe get a hint, an idea of what exactly happened on October 4th, that you would be able to move forward with those charges of kidnapping? What happened that evening?
All right, if you'll just allow me 1 second to speak with Ashley.
So in terms of the investigation as itself, unfortunately, we don't have any new information since the last time I spoke with you all. At this point, it is still very much an active investigation. So my answer is going to be similar to what I've already said, which is the information that we know is that he was the last person with her. He was traveling with her when her phone goes offline. We have every reason to believe at this point she did not go willingly. She was about 20 or 30 minutes into her shift. From all of the witnesses, her family that we've spoken to, this is unusual behavior for her. And as we now know, several of her items have now been found in locations that don't make much sense. So at this point, we have every reason to believe she did not go willingly. And at this point, we're 2 weeks later and we still don't have her. I think we have more than enough at this level to charge him with the charges that he's been charged with, which is kidnapping, criminal use of communication facility, recklessly endangering her, and all the charges that we approved.
Thank you, Ashley. And my last question was, how many new victims have come forward since?
So at this point, that's still very much in flux. I know the police department, I know our victim witness team are all fielding those calls. And so I'm sure at some point we'll have more information on that. But at this point, I wouldn't want to speculate in terms of how many there are, but there are people coming forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me also just supplement that without getting more detailed than I should. Supplement that by saying, sometimes when we get information or the police get information, it's coming about, let's just say, a car. Right? Information about a car. Well, the significance of that information may be a lot more than what even the person providing it believes. If you get information about a car, if that takes you to a car, if that allows you to do DNA on that car, if that allows you to do geolocation on a navigation system in that car, if that allows you to look for other things, that may branch off in multiple directions and provide layers and layers and layers of important information. And as you all know, we are, and by we, I mean the Philadelphia Police Department, the FBI, other law enforcement partners are actively searching for her now, okay? So any tip, any information that's coming in, even if it's about a prior incident in which Keon King was involved, even if it's just about how he always does the same stuff, that may fill a gap in this investigation that's absolutely crucial to every effort to bring her home safely and to get the family justice.
Is he cooperating at all with?
I cannot comment on that at this time. Jennifer Lee, Channel 29 Fox.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the question. I'm wondering, the prior kidnapping case, the victim, is she now working with your office? Has she come forward since this recent arrest?
What I can tell you is that there has been significant contact with her, including meeting in person with members of the DA's office, significant contact with her family. I'm sure you can understand there are reasons why it would be inappropriate for me to say exactly where or exactly when. But yes, there has been significant contact with her. There have been discussions with her and her family. We have worked in the past and even now to make sure that she is in the safest position possible, that her needs are met in terms of what it means to bring a case like the one that she brought.
And did she tell you the reason why she didn't show up in the prior court dates? Is it similar to the reason why a lot of these TV cases don't move forward in court, like you're suggesting?
I'm not going to comment on that at this time. First of all, because I don't want to speak for her. I don't think that's fair to her. But also because I'm giving you the best information that I have. I certainly can't speak for the mental state of another person. And we are also making every effort to check our facts and make sure that our facts are strictly correct. So I'm going to respectfully decline to speak for her on that point.
social media video that has been widely shared now, is that from that prior kidnapping case?
Well, let me just say this.
Is that the video evidence?
I'm not sure exactly which video you're talking about. I am aware of what you might be talking about, but there's a little more social media out there perhaps than some people may realize, so I don't want to misspeak on that point. All right, let me see. Ellie Rushing, Philadelphia Inquirer.
Can you give a little bit of clarity on when the warrant was issued for his arrest in the January incident? Because, so if the first case was dismissed in February, then she would have just been kidnapped and reported that a month earlier, right? Why not maybe go to the judge and say, we just had another incident, this is evolving and we're still trying to get in touch.
All right, first of all, I just want to make sure I understand the question. If you'll just allow me a moment. Okay.
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, it's that these kind of two cases were intertwined with each other, yes?
And they were happening very close.
They were happening simultaneously. I mean, I think the answers we gave are kind of the answers that we're going to continue to give, which is, just because one case happens doesn't change kind of, again, I don't want to speak for her mental state, but this is a situation where he was on bail for everything. And obviously, I think that kind of answers a question in and of itself, which is he had an active case going on with her when the second case happened. I think that kind of answers it in and of itself, which is that he was out on bail on that first case and still committed this next one. I think that kind of answers it, right, in terms of what perhaps her mental state could be, or perhaps what anyone's mental state could be, where he has an open case and that's not even stopping him. And the allegations in that second case and in the first involve threats to her life. It's not just strangulation, it's not just kidnapping, it is legitimate threats to her life. And if he's doing this while on bail for one case, what is he going to do when he's on bail for a second?
I think what I was trying to distinguish is he's not arrested for the kidnapping case until April, I think.
Right.
And so when the charges in the first case were withdrawn in February, was there an active warrant for his arrest?
I don't have the exact date the second warrant was issued. I'm sure we can get that, but I don't have it on me.
All right, Sherry Stone, Philadelphia Tribune.
I'm sorry, I'm wondering if the gold car that was found belonged to Keon King, and like if you're allowed to give any details, like what happened as well as search, like if you find anything that can be shared.
Okay.
So obviously, when we did the initial press conference at the police headquarters, we had put that car out as a car of interest. Obviously, at that time, we indicated we believed he had been operating that vehicle. Perhaps she had been in it throughout that evening. We recovered that car. That car is still being investigated. Obviously, at this point, we haven't released anything in terms of that search, but it is being searched pursuant to a search warrant. But we do have significant evidence tying him to that car. We did before, and then we did upon recovery of that car. In terms of where it was, video evidence surrounding it, we can connect him to that car again.
Dan Horan, Philly FPV.
Yes, thank you. Just want to ask you about your victim services unit. It seems like there's a lot of incidents where you spoke on people are afraid to show up in court. Is there any part of your team that meets with these victims or speaks to them before the court case to meet them at the court and to move with them through the process and then out afterwards to make sure they get through their car and it goes smooth?
So I can give you the short answer, but I think it makes more sense to let Mariel Dela Cruz, who is the chief of our Victim Witness Services unit, give you the longer, more detailed answer.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So there are several things when it comes to getting victims and survivors to court safely. So in some instances, we do have assigned detectives who are working in our office. So DAD, so detectives that are belonging to the District Attorney's office, do a transport to and from court. But additionally, we also have our van services. So we do have a a van that operates and picks up victims and survivors and also drops them off. Our protocol is that victims are ushered to our victim services waiting room, which I'm not going to give the location of that waiting room, in both the family courthouse and the criminal justice center as well. So we do have protocols in place to make sure that victims are, one, safe in the courthouse, and also safe traveling to and from the courthouse from their homes.
Do you know if this was an option given to her and if she didn't take it, and if why?
This is usually a protocol option for all of our victims and witnesses that are assigned to our unit. So after a case is assigned, depending on the unit that's assigned to, our victim witness coordinators go through that protocol with every single victim and every single survivor. And this is an option that is presented to them during our call, but also during our correspondence letters and things that we send to our survivors and victims as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Philadelphia neighborhoods. That would be Lauren Morris, Colt Gunn, and Kevin Gruen, who I am passing. Okay, very good. Now, I know that some of you came with questions on other matters. I don't want to interfere with this press conference by inviting those questions now, but what we'll do is shut it down here. And for those of you who have individual questions about other cases or other issues, please approach us. We'll remain here and we will speak to you individually about that.
Can you take one more just on this?
One more on this?
District King has very sensitive information about the whereabouts of Ms. Scott. I know he has rights, but is your office leveraging anything to try to get that information from him?
What I can tell you is that every single effort that can be made to help Kada and her family is being made. Thank you.
It's too bad that
All right.
everybody has been failed.
Anybody got other questions?
Shockingly not.
Shockingly, no.
There's one there.
Okay, so I was looking on TikTok, and guess what I found? Yes, you are right. The video that they're talking about. So let's I'm not saying this is or is not him, Keon King. It could be anybody, but this is the video they are speaking on.
Bye. Keon out here. This morning, police investigating this video showing who they believe to be Keon King, the suspect connected to the disappearance of 23-year-old nursing assistant Kada Scott, a man seen peeking through the window from outside in the yard. It's unclear when or where this video was taken. Now, the race against time to find Scott, who police say vanished mid-shift while working at this assisted living facility in Philadelphia nearly 2 weeks ago.
We need to find Miss Scott, figure out where she is, or what may have happened to her to cause her to completely disappear from all her items, her phone.
Authorities say they believe Scott was last in contact with 21-year-old King, arrested and charged with kidnapping and recklessly endangering another person, and is being held on a $2.5 million bail. Investigators say before Scott disappeared, she told relatives she was being harassed, though it has yet to be determined if the person harassing her was King. But officials say their suspect does have a pattern of similar crimes.
He did have a previous case. It was a 2025 case for very similar conduct, strangulation and kidnapping. That case had been withdrawn by our office based on the witness failing to appear at court. I pulled that file, and after an extensive review of it, our office made the decision to refile those charges.
Investigators were
Yeah, a little
on tips
late.
from the public, crediting one of those tips with helping to find the suspect's car. Scott's family not giving up hope, urging anyone with information to speak up.
If you have any information, small, large, minuscule, please reach out to the Philadelphia Police Department and let them know that may be the piece that they're looking for. We all miss her. We want her home.
And again, that suspect is facing kidnapping charges, even as police continue looking for Kada. He's being held on a $2.5 million bond. He has not entered a plea, but guys, we've reached out to his attorney for comment.
Bye. Keon out here.
This morning, police investigating this video showing who they believe to be Keon King, the suspect connected to the disappearance of 23-year-old nursing assistant Kada Scott, a man seen peeking through the window from outside in the yard. It's unclear when or where this video was taken. Now, the race against time to find Scott, who police say vanished mid-shift while working at this
Well, I probably should unmute, maybe. But that person in the video, they say, is Keon King. We do not know. We can't accuse. But I thought I would show the video just to show what they were talking about in that press conference. I'm a little upset. I thought they were going to have an update, but I guess not. But thank you for joining me. I probably won't go live again unless there's a police chase or some breaking news, some true crime or celebrity news. But yeah, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I really enjoy doing these live streams, and I like to know that people are starting to enjoy watching them because I am starting to figure out my way around StreamYard. All right. Well, y'all have a wonderful night and stay safe. It's Friday night. Have a good night and have a good weekend. All right. See you in the next one.